With Doubtnut, get instant video solutions to all your maths, physics, chemistry, and biology doubts. Just click the image of the question, crop the question, and get instant video solution. Download Doubtnut app today.
Hello, so question is saying this for the solution of gases, right? So WXYZ, right, in water at 298 Kelvin, the Henry law constant KH are 0.5, 2, 35 and 40 kilobar respectively, right? So the correct order of the plot for the given data, right? So we have to find out this correct order of the plot, right? So let's start solving this question, right? So actually we have given the data, right? So we have given the data of Henry law constant, right? So what do you mean by Henry law, right? So Henry law says that the partial pressure, right? So the partial pressure of the gas, right? So let's say this is partial pressure of the gas is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the gas, right? So is directly proportional to mole fraction of the gas, right? So if you remove the proportionality constant, so you can see here the partial pressure of the gas is equals to kH. Here kH is our Henry constant multiplied by Henry gas, that is mole fraction of the gas, right? So this is the Henry law, right? So now you can see here the partial pressure is directly proportional to Henry law constant, right? So that is kH, right? So now we have to this, but this relation is for gas, right? So but in the question we have the plot of partial pressure of the gas and the mole fraction of water, right? So but here it is the mole fraction of the gas, right? So just we have to modify the equation, right? So as we know that the total mole fraction is equals to 1, right? So that means it is a solution, right? So that means gases are in the water, that means the mole fraction of the gas, right? So if I write down the mole fraction of the gas plus mole fraction of the water, right? So that is H2O will be equals to 1, right? So this is the total mole fraction, right? So total mole fraction is always equals to 1, right? So now you can see here the mole fraction of the gas comes out to be 1 minus H2O, right? So 1 minus mole fraction of H2O, right? So 1 minus mole fraction of H2O, right? So now you can see here you can put the value of mole fraction of gas in this equation, right? So in this equation, right? So let's say this is equation number 1, right? So you can put the value of mole fraction of gas in the equation number 1, right? So after putting the value you will get, right? So you will get here, you can see here that the mole fraction, the partial pressure of the gas will be equals to KH, that is Henry law gas constant, right? So here Henry law constant into the value of mole fraction of gas is this, right? So this is the value, right? So that is 1 minus mole fraction of the gas, right? So I'm just deriving the relation between partial pressure of the gas with mole fraction of the water, right? So because this is the partial pressure of the gas and mole fraction of the gas, right? So we have to derive with this relation according to the demand of the question, right? So now you can see here the partial pressure of the gas is equals to KH, right, minus KH, the partial pressure of the gas, right? This is the partial pressure of the gas, right? So this is the relation, right? So now if you want to just rearrange, right? So if you want to just rearrange for the simplicity, so you can write down like this, right? So you can write down like this, right? So the relation becomes the partial pressure of the gas will be equals to minus KH, right? So it will be equals to minus KH into partial, or you can say the mole fraction of the gas plus KH, right? So now if you just compare it with the straight line equation, so you will get, let's say this is our y-axis, right? So because in the option we have the partial pressure is on the y-axis, right? So we have to put in on y-axis, right? So now it becomes, right? So it becomes, you can see here I have done a mistake here. So you can see here, this is the partial pressure of not gas, right? So this is the partial pressure of the water, right? So the mole fraction of the water, right? So this is mole fraction of the water, right? So because we have put the value over here, right? So this is mole fraction of the water, right? So just correct it, right? So let me correct it. This is mole fraction of the water, right? So mole fraction of the water, right? So this is mole fraction of the water. Now this equation is correct, right? So here, because this is the mole fraction of the water, right? So this is our x-axis, right? So this is our x-axis, right? And this is our intercept, right? So this is our intercept, right? And this is our slope, right? So here negative sign indicates that slope is negative, right? So here negative sign indicates that slope is negative, right? So if you draw the graph between the partial pressure of the gas and mole fraction of the water, so the graph will be look like this, right? So the graph will be look like this, right? So the graph will be look like this, right? So you can see here the value of the graph, right? So the value of the x-axis will be equals to, you can see here on the x-axis you can write down the partial pressure of the gas, and on the y on the x-axis, right? So this is our x-axis, right? So let's say this is our x-axis, right? And this is our y-axis, right? So on this axis we have a mole fraction of the water, right? So mole fraction of the water, right? And from the graph, from this equation, we know that our slope is negative, right? So our slope is negative, right? So our slope is negative, right? So we have a different kind of solution, right? So we have a different kind of solution, that is w, x, right, y and z, right? So this is the solution. And for this, the value of kh, the value of kh is, you can say that is 0.5, right? So that is 0.5, right? So you can say that this is 0.5, 2 and 35, right? So 2 and 35 and 40, right? So this is the value, right? So I'm just writing down the value. Values are 0.5, 2 and 35, right, and 40, right? So now you can see here the partial pressure of the gas is directly proportional to this Henry constant, right? So and this is a negative slope, right? So that means Z has a more steep in the slope, right? That means the slope of the Z will be more, right? So that means if you draw the graph, right? So if they draw the graph like this, so let's say this is Z, one more graph here, right? So you can draw like this, right? So and you can draw like this and you can draw like this, right? So now you can see here in this case, right? So this is the actual graph. The graph will be look like this. So the graph will be look like this. So you can see here, this is our negative slope, right? So you can draw like this, right? So you can draw like this. Let's say this is our from the because intercept is different for different axes, right? So you can see here in the graph, in the question, you can see here these are some different intercept because we have different value, right? So now you can see here if we check the option, right? So if we check the option, you can see here in the first and third option the slopes are positive, right? So slopes are positive. In this way you can see the option 1 and option 3 can be neglected, right? So option 1 and 3 can be neglected because, or you can say they are eliminated because they have positive slope, but here we are getting a negative slope, right? So now question arises, which is the correct answer, either 2 or 4, right? So now you can see here the slope has a negative value, more will be the negative slope, more will be the you can say partial pressure of the gas, right? So now you can see here for the Z has a very steep change, right? So Z has a very steep change as compared to W, right? Because and this graph belongs to the data, right? So that is 0.5, 2 and 2, 35 and 40, right? So this is the data, right? But while in the case of here, you can see here the value is for W is here 0.5, but this does not match with the data, right? Because this slope is very steep, right? So this slope is very steep, right? And the data does not suggest this, right? So in this way you can say this the fourth option is also wrong, right? So now we are left with the correct option, that is option B, right? So this is the correct answer, right? So hope this answered your question. So thank you.
For class 6 to 12, IIT JEE and NEET level. Trusted by more than 5 crore students. Download Doubtnut app today.